In this video, I would like to share with you some tips in managing the side effects of radiotherapy on oral and throat cancer. This is from what my mom has done when in managing her own condition, because 21 years ago my mother was diagnosed with tonsil cancer. She had to go for a neck operation to remove the tonsil and some of her neck muscle, followed by 36 doses of radiotherapy, which has enormous side effect. I believe today, with the advancement of treatment technology, the side effects are not so bad as it is 20 or 10 years ago. So you may not experience the side effect as I've described in this video, but nevertheless, if you do, these are some of the ways my mother has adapted, and I hope that these tips will be helpful. I will actually update the timeline, the outline of this video in the description box below, so you can jump on to relevant sections of this video if you wish to. The first I would actually like to touch a bit on prior to the operation or radiotherapy. Two things that you should do is that first, go for a proper dental checkup. If there's any problem tooth, any teeth that is infected, have them extracted. This has to be done before the operation and the treatment, because after the treatment, normally an experienced dentist would not do the extraction, because there are cases of people who did not want to have their tooth extracted, and then later they had a massive toothache and they go for a tooth extraction after their radiotherapy treatment, and the cancer suddenly recur. These are accounts I've heard from those people that I know who the cancer has recurred happened to people close to them. So take care of the dental, any teeth that you need to extract, have extracted out, not filling, extracted out. Next is also set your affairs in order. So if you have not write a will, have a will done. That is to put the mind at ease, because during the treatment you may feel very weak to be able to manage all these things. So at least if you have done all, set everything in order, nominate all your beneficiaries, then you would not worry about this during the later part of the treatment. Now, this is what my mom have experienced 21 years ago. Maybe, as I said, now maybe the effect is not so bad. So it's good to discuss with your oncologist if, let's say, what are the expected outcomes to be. But I'll let you know what happened to my mom during her 36 doses of radiotherapy. First, right, during the treatment, the throat will become darkened, like a coal burning in the area. They'll always feel like there's very hot inside the throat. Then open sores will start to develop around the mouth and throat, which makes eating and swallowing very painful and sometimes impossible. Then at first the mouth will start getting a lot of mucus secretion. And after that the secretion will just stop totally, sometimes permanently, or for a very long time, like we are talking about few years. And then oral infection and candidiasis will set in due to open sores. At the same time, the person may lose weight drastically because they are no longer able to swallow or eat. For example, for my mom, within 3 months, immediately after going for her radiotherapy treatment, she lost 22 kilos. Her weight dropped from 67 to 45 kilograms. And she maintained that weight for many years. Despite after she recovered, she started eating a lot again. The radiotherapy also will cause the person to become very weak, both physically and mentally. So in the beginning, they may be able to take public transport to the hospital for treatment or take a taxi. But as time goes by, right, the treatment will really create a devastating effect on them. So they will definitely need care, and we should not leave them alone at home. If they got too weak from the treatment, and they can't walk, like what happened to my mom at the 10th dose or so, right? She got so weak that she couldn't walk, let alone get into the car and had me and to drive her through the traffic jam to go for treatment. So it would be very difficult for her to endure. So I hospitalized her during the course of that treatment. One thing I would like to touch a bit on hospitalization, right, is sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes if they stay in a common ward, it may be better, especially if you are not there to look after them all the time. Even if you are there, right, as a caregiver, sometimes you may feel traumatized, you feel very sad or worried. So sometimes having people and activities around may be a bit cheerful. That is what I found, because my mom ended up in a common ward, and due to the busy activities, right, it's kind of distracting for her, especially when she suffered, when it was very tough during the treatment. She had more distraction rather than being alone with her thoughts. Like, for example, if you're in a single room, right, you'll be more time to be alone with your thoughts, which may not be so good. Okay, this is this part. The next is to move on to during the treatment. It is very, very important to stay hydrated. During the radiotherapy, a lot of heat is produced, and it can be felt even long after the treatment. So to bring down the heat in the body, sometimes you can, I did boil barley for her or other Chinese herbs. And they also say that water from the young green coconut also helps to cool down the body. But it's important to drink lots of water during the treatment to cool down. If there's open sores or bacterial infection in the mouth and it makes it painful to drink water, right, get the medication to to cure the candidiasis and to control the infection. Don't avoid drinking enough fluids just because of the pain. And when it comes a point, if eating or drinking gets too painful, let the doctor know. The doctor may, I think nowadays they may put in a nasogastric or a PEG tube, or else they may have the fluid inserted intravenously. During my mother's time 21 years ago, it was not common. It was not a common practice to put in the feeding tube for this scenario. So they normally will insert intravenously, but now perhaps they will put in a feeding tube. One more note is also about the mucus secretion. Initially, during the treatment, there will be a lot of mucus secretion, and it will keep the patient up at night. So always have a spit pan, a tray that you can spit the mucus on. Sometimes when the mucus is spit out, right, there's also blood that comes along with it. And as the radiotherapy progresses, because there's blood, because these are all open wounds, and it makes the throat very sore, very raw. Then towards the course of the radiotherapy, if the mucous membranes get wiped out, right, the secretion will stop. Then from a lot of secretion, it becomes no secretion, which will also keep the patient up at night. So when that happens, right, my mother went through this. What she did is that she had a glass of water, a cup of water. Better don't use glass because it may break, right? Just use a plastic cup with a plastic syringe. So when there's a dryness in her mouth and it wakes her up, she will take the syringe to pump a little water to wet her mouth. So when her mouth is no longer sore from this infection and candidiasis, what she did is that she found that munching certain fruits like grapes, because a lot of people who come and visited her brought grapes, so she tried to munch a bit. She find that munching grapes or smearing honey kept her mouth from feeling dry. So what we did is that we bought her Manuka honey from the New Zealand Manuka honey, and she has eaten the honey for many, many years because of her dry mouth. But the really, really dry, the time when it's really, really dry, that lasted for 2 years before the situation improved. She's still dry, but the super, super dry one is 2 years. And throughout, she always carry a water bottle wherever she goes. It's a kind of squeeze bottle. So you see our mouth, her salivary glands got wiped out, right? So she could not, saliva helps us to swallow. So when she had problems swallowing, she always squeeze in the water. So sometimes when she go out, if let's say there's a soup or there is a dessert, watery dessert, then instead of having the squeezed water, she will actually take food and then she'll put in the dessert or the soup, and then she'll take and then she'll put, and it will help to bring down the food. So that's how my mom has adapted all these years. The radiotherapy also will cause a narrowing in the passageway in the throat. So they will, and because of the destruction of the mucous membrane, there will be a lot of food that one cannot eat. If the teeth also falls off, right, like for my mom, all her teeth actually fell off. Then you won't be able to eat hard things, fibrous things, and also spicy things. So that my mom had to give up this kind of food. This is and my mom actually loves spicy food, but she just have to give it up because it's a slight. She said that just a little bit of chili make her whole mouth feel as though it's in flames. So this is adaptation, but she learned to focus on, instead of thinking of things she had give up, she find new foods that she liked. So she focused on other types of food. Now, I would want to say that, of course, during this point of time, if you or your loved ones is experiencing this condition, you may have a lot of people coming to give you unsolicited advice or solicited advice or whatever. And a very common theme is to go on vegetarian diet or organic diet. We almost went into that kind of diet, but then one thing about organic diet is expensive. So we can't really afford to eat a fully organic diet. Also, at that point of time, because sometimes in the olden custom, right, it's important for a person to be able to take food that they like, and because people are happy if they're able to take food they like. And my mom basically is a meat eater. She prefers to eat meat compared to vegetables. Maybe this is a good excuse that she end up because she will have problems swallowing fiber, and she doesn't like to blend her food. So because when you blend it, the food loses. It's just everything is like globe, right? Doesn't look appetizing. So she doesn't like to blend the vegetables. Of course, if she blend it, she could eat it, but she doesn't like. So she like to have the food in their whole form. So because of that, she find it easier to swallow minced meat. Fibrous meat also is a bit difficult unless it's being minced. So she find it easier to swallow meat and fish. So that is what she had for most of the time. And then she had problem taking rice. Rice is our staple diet, but she had problem taking rice because the rice gets stuck in her throat. Because when doing radiotherapy, the throat doesn't become like a straight. There will be like a lot of little crack, a lot of in between, right? That food gets stuck easily in between. So she find that taking rice and taking like certain noodles make her choke, make her cough. So she stopped taking that. So she took a lot of meat. And then she also have a sweet tooth. So she loved ice cream. She loved puddings. She loved muffins. She loved cakes. And then she loved biscuits. She could take all those things. Because in the blood test, her cholesterol was okay, her blood sugar was okay, so we allowed her. And she basically eats food that make her happy. But there is a very important thing that what my mom did is, even in her diet, because she was a nurse. So as a nurse, it's very important, it's ingrained in them the importance of full nutrition, and they believe that full nutrition is what helps the body recover and stay healthy. So what she does is that she always supplement with Ensure or Nickel, the full nutrition drink. Basically, she discovered this by chance because when she was hospitalized for radiotherapy, there was a salesperson who sold the Ensure milk at the discounted price. And then she had problem eating. She found that she could swallow the milk and she regained a bit of strength. So she had been taking Ensure milk for close to 20 years. Means that it becomes a part of whatever that her daily diet cannot complete may not give her the complete nutrition, she get it from Ensure. So it's a complete diet. Personally, I find that Ensure is quite good. I am not the type of person who like to drink all this milky. Ensure is not really, they say that there's no lactose, but I don't really fancy the drink. But when I feel like I'm under the weather or I'm going to fall sick, I normally will have a cup of Ensure, a cup or two, right? And normally I will get, before my situation won't get worse. So we may go under the weather sometimes because of insufficient nutrition and all this, and then we may start to catch the flu. So I myself would drink Ensure as well. So my mom have the Ensure, and as well as the her drink, she drink about few times in a day. As well as she will take Manuka honey first thing in the morning, sometimes with lime. She will squeeze lime to actually keep her mouth from feeling very dry. So these are the things that my mom don't save on. She's willing to spend, because Manuka honey is not really cheap either. So in where I'm from, but this really help. So this is what she has taken. She didn't opt to go for vegetarian because she's a meat eater. And then when they going for buffets, right, my mother loved, as she recover after the few years, she actually loved to go for buffets. So you would think that for her maybe there's a lot of things she can't eat. Well, no. When she go for buffet, she will go for the salmon, she will go for the fish, the soft fish, she will go for some meats, and then she will go for her favorite cakes and pastry. So she's very happy, and in fact she consume a lot when she go for this buffet with her friends. So means that, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that even though her salivary glands got wiped out, even though all her teeth dropped, it doesn't stop her from enjoying her life and enjoying her food. You see, find things that make us happy. Eventually you'll find things that make you happy. As a result of the radiotherapy, my mom has lost weight, so she became small size. And she maintained that weight. No matter how much she eats, she couldn't gain weight. So one of the things she loved to do is that she loved to shop for XS clothes. Meaning that she can always find this kind of clothes, right, being on sale, in the bins of 50 to 70%, 80% discount, because normally this super small size couldn't be sold out. People normally buy the larger size. So she enjoyed the time going through the bins to search for clothing, and she has quite a good eye, because she always end up buying these blouses and pants, right, that looks expensive but actually is so dirt cheap, because it's like on 70-80% discount. So this is also one thing that she find a lot of joy in, you know. So when there's a sale, I'm happy. I will drive her, we'll go together, because one time I was working shift, so I actually get off during the normal office hours, and we get to go to complexes when there's not a lot of people, and I will let her spend hours going through the bin. She really enjoy, and then she will buy some clothing. It makes her happy, and it's not expensive, because these clothings were like really like $5 or less than that, you know, when the clothing the original price can go like above $50 or $100, because she could fit in their very small size. So these are things that find something that adapt and make a person happy. On the teeth side, of course, she had because she loses her teeth, right? So she had root canal done when she had to go for the treatment as a teeth fall off, right? After the radiotherapy, she went to our dentist, who have seen me since I was a child. So he had root canals done for her. Initially, she tried to put on dentures, but dentures is a bit hard, because when you know your gums are not even. If the teeth falls off unnaturally, the gums are not even. So when you put on dentures, right, sometimes it presses on certain uneven areas, and we didn't want to do any like cutting or anything on the gums. The dentist was not comfortable to do that. So in the end, she decided she don't even want to put on the dentures. So of course it aged her. Without dentures, without teeth, right, it really aged her, but she didn't really mind anymore during that time. So she could still eat, and then things, this is what important. But if let's say, like in your case, if let's say you lose all your loved ones, if there's a loss of teeth, I'm sure you would could have very good dentures being done that can actually help to, if you're able to put up with a bit of the discomfort, then can have a full set of dentures done as well. There will be no issue. There's also another factor I feel that helps her a lot in her recovery, is that we always have pets. But especially so after about 2 years after her treatment, right, we have gotten a wonderful dog named Prosper. Because my mother always liked to name dogs called Prosper, Cash, or money-related themes, or quite funny. But we named him Prosper. He's a mixed retriever and Labrador. Very adorable dog. Prosper, just for some reason, was very attached to my mom. So he always liked to stick to my mom and follow my mom along and look at my mom with the adorable eyes. He really, really loved my mom very much. And my mom spent a lot of time preoccupied taking care of him while we are all away from work. So I believe Prosper play a very important role as well to help in the having a pet when we are away during the daytime working, right, really helps a person because she'll be lonely, right? There's nobody, and my mom is not the type of person who like to watch television. She said that the television drains her, so she don't watch. So having a dog to keep her company really was really therapeutic. I find that having, especially get the kind of breeds, right, that is very attached to humans. Because some dogs, they are a bit impersonal, they don't like to mix. But there are some breeds, like I think Golden Retriever, they are very attached to their owners. So that actually also help. So hopefully this video, it will help, it will provide a bit of tips to help you or your loved ones adapt to the effects of the any effects that may come about from the radiotherapy, the oral radiotherapy on the mouth area and the throat. It is okay. Most important thing, we find that we find things that when we lose one function, we also regain another, and there are adaptations that we can make in between. Like my mom, she had a water bottle with her all the time. She makes sure she get all her nutrition from this ensure this complete meal. And then she while she had to give up foods that she loves, she also find food that she love, new food that she discover, new food that she like. And also, as if a person have survived from cancer, one thing is that my mom was not keen to go to like a very extensive travel, the kind of tour you have to run around like a refugee, like tour of Europe in 10 days or 8 days, that kind of activities, don't do it anymore, especially within the first 5 years, because sometimes when you're moving around, right, and your body biological clock is affected and you don't get enough of sleep, sometimes it may trigger the reoccurrence. So don't strain the body too much. Just maybe if one go for this like local travel, just a short drive or a short trip to out town, but don't do it in such a strenuous form, because sometimes doing like being too strained up, right? Few of my mother's friend actually, like she had one friend who was quite free. She had breast cancer and she was okay. Then later she went to a Europe tour, and then when she came back, even though it was just after 5 years, right, she came back, the cancer reoccurred and spread, and she passed. And then there's also another one of my mother's friend who went to Japan for a tour. And then during the tour, the cancer relapsed as well. So I think within at least for 5 years or so, right, don't put a lot of stress on the body. In the case of my mom, she actually quite like refused to go for overseas anymore, because she had seen what is happening. So she preferred to stay locally. And even if we go for trips, right, it's only within still within the country. So this is just a little bit I wish to share. I hope that this helps. Take good care. And one last part is important. Prayers are also very important, depending on the faith you're in. When going for treatment, it takes, and also during the course of recovery, it takes everything that you have within you. So sometimes when you do the prayer, when you believe like there is a higher power, it really, really will help you to get through this difficult time. My mother had prayed 10 years prior to getting cancer. She had the urge to pray, and she started praying daily. And then every time when she's in the difficult situation, or she feel like a danger, the prayers will be able to come out, because once you have done it all the time, right, it becomes a bit like automatic. So the doctor can heal our body, can heal our body, but they cannot heal our mind and emotions. Sometimes having the prayer based on your faith can calm down your mind, and then maybe enable letting go, and as well as acceptance in any outcome, because you will feel at peace once you're used to doing prayers, and once your faith deepens. So I hope that this information is helpful. Take good care.